Pouring your heart out to save your marriage is devastating enough, but finding out your wife cheated on you while you were on vacation together is an entirely different level of betrayal. Let's get right into this heartbreaking confession from user JTVSE, titled, "My wife said she wanted a divorce, I started to fight for her, then she dropped that she cheated on me." The past 2 weeks have been a whirlwind. 2 Sundays ago, I woke up and clearly something was wrong and my wife exploded on me. We have had our issues, mainly about house projects and executive dysfunction with them, but I had just gotten back from a week-long tour, and instead of a nice morning, I got, "I feel like your roommate. Everything is a mess. How can you not see it?" among other things. I shut down completely. Didn't know what to say, completely silent, trying to think of anything. Nothing. We avoided each other most of the day. 2 days later, after I've already cried at work, at home, I'm talking to a mutual friend who talks some sense into me. I probably should have taken some time, but I immediately go and talk to my wife. Try and get to the source of the pain. I get there. She feels trapped. I'm complacent, happy with my life, and she wants something completely different. That talk ends with us. I felt like I had no choice, agreeing that divorce was the best path forward. Where I live, it's easy to do. I did some research, talked to a paralegal, and got all the proper forms. They are printed out. I'm a mess. I talked to our mutual friend more, who was just saying what I was saying to my wife, not good, but she is flabbergasted that I would just give up like this. We have been together 8 years, and I'm just willing to let that go. And that's when I said, I'm not just sad, I want to fight for this. So I do. I write out all my thoughts, my feelings, pour my heart out into this note that I'm going to read to her later, and she leaves for work. She works remotely but had meetings all day. So I sent it as an email and anxiously awaited either a response, good or bad. Next day, no response. I had to go into work. I work a very early job, but came home early and she's sitting outside on our deck. I ask if she has time to talk. She's read the email and she's open to talking. It was a good email, and I didn't love that it was an email, were the things she said to me. After talking a bunch, expressing my feelings in a much better way, we agreed that a separation would be needed and not necessarily a divorce. Then she drops another bombshell. She had cheated on me. Twice. The first time was on a long 4-month trip after she got laid off last year. Didn't tell me about it after. I went to meet her in Indonesia for 2 weeks during the middle of that trip. The second time, which is where I'm deeply struggling, was with the same person, a scuba dive guide, on a vacation we were both on together. I'm an absolute mess. I didn't scream, I didn't yell, I got some details which shocked me, and I ended the conversation. The next few days I'm a complete wreck. Barely sleeping, super manic, all over the place. I have to work in this state and it's not easy. Suffice to say, all I've done is think about what's going on. Currently, I'm wondering if she even wants to try to have any kind of reconciliation, as her actions and demeanor are quite aloof. It feels like she doesn't want to end it, but wants me to. Part of me knows it would be so easy to do, but a large part of me still loves her. I want to think I can forgive this, but there's no way to know. I certainly won't ever forget it. I can't guess her motivations, but her defense mechanism is clearly to detach from the situation as much as possible. It's good data has been a refrain about things that is particularly painful. I can see the signs that she is struggling, but I'm clearly doing worse, and since we still live together, I'm going to have to see her for a little while. I don't know what to do. I had told her before she left for a work trip that I wanted to have another conversation when she got back. She asked if I wanted to have that conversation now, and I said no. I was still white hot, and it would have gone badly. Not sure why I'm writing all this, but I've been talking to friends and people who have gone through similar situations. At the end of the day, I feel that regardless of my feelings, she doesn't respect me anymore and our relationship is too far gone, but I'm not quite ready to give up yet, so I'm stuck. Thanks for listening. Should he keep fighting for a partner who clearly checked out long ago, or is it time to just hand her the printed divorce papers? Let me know below. Next story. Road trips always come with weird and unexpected encounters, but walking into a public restroom only to become a helpless witness to an absolute biological crime scene is a whole new level of trauma. Let's get right into this wild and stomach-churning story from user Nate_of_grapes titled, "I hogged a bathroom stall and the unthinkable happened. I, 20M, and my GF, 19F, are on the tail end of a 3-week-long road trip from North Carolina to Banff, Canada. Along the way, we've made plenty of memories and had some very interesting interactions with locals. Most notably was this morning. We've been short on money and had a gift card, so we stopped for breakfast at McDonald's. I put in my order, the restaurant had only a handful of people, and then made my way to the bathroom. It was a small restroom, only a sink, one urinal, and a stall. I had to take a dump, so I went to the stall, locked the door, and got to poopin'. I won't give you the details, but my diet hasn't been great this trip, and neither has my IBS, so I was there for a while. About 7 minutes into my bathroom visit, someone else enters the restroom. I hear their footsteps approach the stall door and pull on the handle softly to no avail since I had locked it. I sat silently, feeling bad for taking so long, but realizing I should hurry up for the unlucky guy outside. This is when the unthinkable happened. I heard the man outside the stall unzip his pants, slide them down his legs, and then he let out the loudest, wettest ass ripping I've ever heard. My mouth went agape. I couldn't believe he jumped straight to such extremes. I listened horrified as he hobbled, like you do when your pants are to your ankles, to the automatic paper towel dispenser. He presumably wiped his ass with the brown paper towels and put them in the trash before zipping up his pants and leaving. My mouth was to the floor. The smell was unbearable moments after the door shut. I finished up preparing myself for the worst and went to see the damage. And there it was, a complete mess in the urinal. I rushed past it and out into the restaurant, scanning the room for the culprit, trying to make eye contact with any of the patrons, but none looked back. After quietly explaining the situation to my GF over a McGriddle, she said an older-looking gentleman came into the restaurant, straight in the bathroom, and then left. He must have been the culprit, but I can't help but wonder who jumps to such extreme actions? Have you ever witnessed a public restroom catastrophe so horrific it scarred you for life? Let me know in the comments below. See you in the next story. Revenge on a toxic serial cheating parent sounds like a good idea in theory, but what happens when your master plan involves catfishing your dad's mistress and you actually start falling for her? Let's get right into this wildly messy family drama from user dismal_cartoonist_78, titled, I Stole My Dad's Girlfriend and I Don't Know What to Do. Hi, I'm an M26 from Central Mexico, and yeah, I know how insane the title sounds, but hear me out, this is actually way more messy. Recently, I started a secret revenge plan against my dad, especially because he has put my mother through a lot and I'm just tired of hearing about it all the time. But first, here's a little context. My parents have been married for 27 years. Probably 12 of those have been pretty miserable because of my father's constant cheating. The first time he did it, I was the one who discovered it because he left his FB account open on the family's computer. I didn't tell anything to my mother, but I remember having a very intense argument with him. Eventually, the other woman wanted to be the main one in his life, and she started harassing my mom, sending her all of the explicit messages and pics my father used to send her. Those included pictures of my dad using illegal substances and messages where he was saying awful things about my mother. They took couples counseling and all that stuff, but my father never really changed. To this day, he's constantly getting new girlfriends and cheating on my mother. I don't even blame the women at this point because I've seen how he treats them and how all of them are always around 30. He's almost 60. But my mother hasn't divorced him because she wants my little brother to finish his studies before splitting the family apart. Personally, I don't agree with that, but I'm not going to tell my parents what to do with their lives. I'm old enough to be independent, and I don't even live in the same city as them anymore. The thing is that recently I stayed with them for a couple of weeks because of the summer, and some things went down between them, and I just had enough with my dad's behavior. I'm an attractive guy, maybe not Hollywood level attractive, but I'm not ugly. And during these days with my parents, I found out on the family's computer, because apparently in this house things never change, that my father was still doing the same garbage on Facebook that he was doing 10 years ago with some 29-year-old. When I was a teenager, I used to send messages to these women to make them feel bad about the fact that they were playing a role in breaking a family, but now I'm mature enough to recognize that this is my dad's fault and I might sound like a jerk, but I wanted him to feel everything that my mother has felt for the last 12 years of their marriage, but this time with one of his girlfriends. With a burner account, I started to chat with this woman. I know my dad, So I behaved in a way that would make this woman see all of the things my father didn't do for her because he's married and he doesn't really love her. I know I sound like a manipulative psycho, but my main objective was to make this chick realize how much of a jerk my father was. The thing is that my act ended up with her starting to feel real interest in me. We eventually went out together and my plan was to tell her who I was, but it never came up and I felt like absolute garbage, mainly because the date ended with her kissing me and telling me that I was the man of her dreams. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it might be pity or some Freudian thing, but I actually like her. I'm not in love or anything, but I do think she's a nice person and just another victim of my dad's awful actions. She's a single mother who lives in a very poor side of town and was married to an abusive partner who fled the country after committing a horrible crime. I'm not joking, she met my dad because he works as a cop. My father sends her money every now and then to pay her rent, but he apparently just sees her as an escort, even though she isn't, her words. Now, I'm the only adult in her life that has been loving and nice to her, so I don't blame her for saying that I'm the man of her dreams after the first date, considering that the bar is very low. I've seen her a couple of times more, and I've also noticed that my father has started to be angry all the time. Things really went down this morning when I got a long message on my FB burner account. I don't have a profile pic showing my face, and I didn't put my real last names. Coming from my father, where he was threatening me and saying that he knew all about my relationship with the woman. Audios yelling that he knew dangerous people and that if I didn't stay away from her, he would hurt me. The message proved to me that he clearly didn't know who was the person behind the profile. Now I don't know what to do. Honestly, I'm definitely gonna tell the girl who I am and also my feelings for her. I don't expect anything, but at least I want her to know that she deserves someone better than me and my dad. But when it comes to my father, I really don't know what I have to do. I want to come clean, but I also don't want to affect my mother or my brother. Is this one of those times when I have to act like a real man and just deal with this? If that's the case, how? I want to protect my mother, my little brother, and even that girl from my father's mess. Is there any possible way for him to come clean to this woman without his dad blowing up their entire family? Or has this revenge plot gone way past the point of no return? Let me know below. Next story. Waking up to a bad back is rough, but dealing with a broken fridge, a dog fight over high-value treats, and stepping in a pile of dog mess all in one day, that is enough to make anyone want to quit. Let's get right into this chaotic vent session from user Lonely Championship 54, titled, "Today is the exact reason why I keep saying I can't do this anymore. I don't know where to start. I have been screaming into the void for months that I can't take this stress anymore. Today was an amalgamation of anger, destruction, and sheer bad luck rolled into one big disaster. Woke up to my back out because no matter how many times I beg to buy a new bed frame, it's always, it's fine for now, we'll get to it. Yes, I could get one myself, but I physically couldn't put it together nor transfer the massive king mattress to it. So I know it would just sit and rot in the storage room. Then I get the lovely wake-up screaming of my teenager having a heart attack. The fridge is warm. It is 6 years old. It shouldn't be warm. Welp, after cleaning it completely out, taking it out of the recessed spot it's in and defrosting it, because originally I thought it was just frozen solid from someone leaving the freezer underneath a jar multiple times. I realized not only is the freezer door broken, but the compressor is so frozen solid I highly doubt it will work again. Okay? Fine. Whatever, it's not the end of the world. We have a chest freezer and I can get the dorm fridge in here for now until I can replace it over the weekend. As I'm messaging my spouse this exact thing, I hear the dogs freaking out. Some idiot won't name names because I know they'll see this and know it's them anyway. Gave the dog smoked pigs feet treats and walked away, leaving the puppy who's actively in behavioral training for resource guarding completely unsupervised with extremely high value treats. No one's drastically hurt, a couple small cuts, but it still shouldn't even have happened. Is this the end of the issues? Nope. I think I'm finally able to end my day of anger and misfortune, walk down the hallway, and slip in a pile of diarrhea, which means our elderly dog ate something he definitely should not have, chicken nuggets. I was just informed my toddler fed him chicken, so that's on me for not paying better attention. I am so over this. So over all of this. It's hard to not be mad at the world when it keeps piling into me like a freaking dumpster fire from hell. And that is it. That's my rant. Thank you for Reading, is she completely justified and feeling totally burnt out by her family's carelessness? Or is this just one of those wildly chaotic days every parent has to survive? Let me know below. Next story. The breast is best mentality is perfectly fine until it crosses the line into literally starving a newborn baby. Let's get right into this infuriating hospital nightmare from user Deviant Dahlia, titled, "I was robbed of bonding with my newborn, TLDR. Nurses forced me to breastfeed my baby for 2 days when I didn't have any milk. She was starving and they refused to give formula. It was a traumatic experience for both of us that led to her rejecting me in what should have been a special time to bond. I'll never get that time back. My baby is 8 months old now and a total mama's girl, but sometimes it makes me so sad thinking about how long it took to get there. For the first couple months, she basically hated me. Every time I held her, she would cry. She hardly ever slept on me or cuddled with me. I just wanted to cuddle my baby and have that bonding with her, but I couldn't. And I blame it on the nurses at the hospital she was born. They were practically obsessed with me breastfeeding her. I told them I wasn't producing enough milk, and they would say just 1 drop is enough because it's so nutrient dense. One of them literally said formula is for lazy people as a refusal to my request. But even as a first-time mom, I could tell what she was getting wasn't good enough. I pumped and squeezed myself literally raw for 1 to 2 drops at a time just to syringe feed it to her. They had me latch her for an hour every 2 hours, and since she wasn't getting anything, she would become absolutely furious. We were both exhausted and in so much pain. If she was awake, she was wailing. She was literally starving. Finally, after 2 days of her losing weight, a nurse, who I'd never seen, immediately gave me a full supply of formula milk when I asked. She seemed shocked that I wasn't given any before. When I gave her the formula, she ate like she had never seen food, which she pretty much hadn't. The non-stop crying baby immediately turned into a perfect angel. But I think the experience traumatized both of us a little bit. It took her so long to let me cuddle her without screaming, crying, and slowly I became her favorite, for now, but it's devastating and infuriating that they made us go through that. Because of their stupid obsession with breast milk, I missed out on such a special and crucial time of bonding with her. I'll never get to hold her when she's so tiny again. And all the times I did get to, she was furious, like she was remembering the awful times I forced her to latch onto an empty breast while she starved. They essentially robbed me of that time with her, and I'm so incredibly sad about it. Were the nurses completely out of line for pushing their breastfeeding agenda this hard, or is this just a horribly common hospital practice? Let me know below. Next story. Living in a house where everyone around you constantly hallucinates figures, ghosts, and even your own doppelganger sounds like a psychological thriller, but for one person, it is just Tuesday. Let's get right into this bizarre and eerie confession from user evening_shop titled, "My entire family hallucinates except me." So I'm aware that this is a pretty weird thing to happen, the post sounds fake, etc., but it's also not something I've ever told anyone before, and I'm starting to realize how weird it is. To get some very important things out of the way, it's not carbon monoxide since we've lived in 3 different places, and we always keep windows open. We now live in a pretty big apartment that has multiple balconies and windows wide open 24/7. This has been happening for years, I think over a decade and a half. Another thing to note is that we're Egyptian, so our idea of concerning is kind of all over the place to my family. These hallucinations are just facts of life, imagination, or ghosts and jinn, which is why they're not really spooked by them, or at the very least, not enough to panic or make them concerned enough to see a psychologist. Now, what bothers me is 2 things. Their hallucinations are usually me. That, and I'm the only one who doesn't hallucinate. I think that about sums the post up, really. Back in our old apartment, I was chopping vegetables in the kitchen when I heard my twin sister calling my name from a different room. I was pretty confused exactly why she was doing that, since it was nighttime or early morning and our parents were asleep, until she came back and asked if I left the kitchen. I told her I'd stayed inside the whole time. She insisted she saw me leaving the kitchen and going to sit in the living room. She actually sees me a lot, I'm not sure why. Another recent one was around last week or so. I heard my mom talking or answering, and getting increasingly agitated until she yelled my name and "What do you want?" Now I'm like, okay, she's probably calling me over because she wants something, This was in the afternoon, and at the time we were busy preparing for a guest. I walk on over to her, and as soon as she saw me, she was pissed and asked, "I heard you the first time, why do you keep calling me?" And I told her I was in the living room the whole time and didn't even say anything. She said she heard me screaming for her over and over again, so there was that odd thing. I told her I didn't say anything, I was just on my phone the whole time. And one happened just now. I was with my brother when he suddenly looked behind him to the other living room. We live across 2 apartments with the wall between them demolished, and then asked me if I saw that. Now I'm confused because how did something catch his eye when it was behind him and in a living room meters away? Anyway, I asked what he saw. He told me he saw a person walking across it, and him and my little sister got up to go and check. Which I didn't because it's 3 a.m. and I'm terrified. Then my little sister excitedly tells me about how she'd also keep seeing weird things around the apartment. One time, a giant butterfly moth creature, and another, a man who had silver skin, which was funny to me because I keep thinking of Hellraiser, but also strange because she's 11. I asked if she'd ever seen me before since that seems to be a trend. She said that she never has, so that's very nice for me. I also remember Dad having these happen to him, seeing things, but I don't know enough details because he's not very talkative. Something I'm noticing is that the people who see me have had rocky relationships with me in the past. My mom and my twin sister, they were tense and difficult. I guess I'm just gonna take it as like some weird kind of justice, like I'm haunting them or something. Maybe some kind of weird internalized guilt that manifests in them seeing me in rooms or screaming or calling their names. It's also ironic to me how I'm the one who doesn't get these, then they go and call me the odd one out. Don't think there's much else to say really, so I'll leave it there. Is this bizarre phenomenon a chilling case of shared psychological trauma, or is something much stranger going on in that household? Let me know below. Next story. Moving on from a breakup is hard enough, but getting that unexpected phone call weeks later can completely mess with your head, especially when you panic and hit decline. Let's get right into this regretful confession from user GoldLogical4731, titled, "My ex tried to reach out and I ignored her." So, late March, me and my GF split up. It wasn't something I wanted, but it was a mutual thing. She wanted a break and I didn't, so we agreed to go our separate ways. No hard feelings. About a month later, I'm at my friend's house and I get a call from her. At this point, I had removed her from my socials as I don't like keeping exes on my contacts. However, I didn't remove her number as we didn't end badly. The call comes through and I am immediately confused because we hadn't spoken since the breakup, so my mind starts racing. I go over to my mates and they are going crazy telling me to answer and pick it up, but I let it ring for a second before declining. At this point, I think some context is needed. My ex was a really nice person, as much as I hate to admit it. However, she did have lots of personal struggles that I had tried to help her through during our time together. On top of that, she had a lot of really difficult things happen earlier in her life that I won't go into, but the point still stands. All this in mind, since that day I've been thinking of every possible reason for her calling me. Did she miss me? Did she need help? Was it an accident? Is it a prank call with her friends? I regret not picking up every day because I know how much she needed support, and her reaching out may have been her way of trying to find it. I know that if she does ever call again, I would pick up in a heartbeat because despite being exes, we are all human and need love and support wherever we can find it. I always tried my best to help anyone I could, whatever ways I could, and this feels like an out of character moment for me and I hate myself for it. I saw one of my friends recently that goes to her college and we spoke about her briefly as he didn't really know what happened about the breakup, and he ended up telling me that he always sees her by herself and alone. This just pushed me over the edge, and now I can't stop myself from thinking I should have reached out and accepted the call. I'm afraid I'll never know why she called me. Even if it was a prank call with her friends, then that would at least give me the peace of mind that she has friends and people she can rely on now. And if it wasn't for that reason, then I'd be even more frustrated at myself because I know that she needed support desperately. Anyway, this was just my rant for myself, so thank you if you did read that all the way through. Should he just let the past be the past and protect his own peace, or is it time for him to swallow his pride and reach back out to see if she's okay? Let me know below. Next story. Watching someone build a massive online following as a wise relationship guru while they are secretly a manipulative, cheating spouse in real life is a special kind of torture. Let's get right into this infuriating confession from user-spirited_meringue947, titled, "I Can't Take My Dad's Lies Anymore." I can't take my dad's lies anymore. My dad is a YouTuber and has deceived hundreds of thousands of people. His recent divorce from his wife of 30 plus years is due to his repeated infidelity. 5 years ago, he had an affair while pastoring a church with a church member that lasted for a year. After the truth came out within the family, his wife chose to stay with him because he begged her to. He promised to change and that he would go to therapy and marriage counseling. He held true to none of those things. For a time, he seemed to get better and be the loving husband he promised, but after a while, he refused to go to therapy and quit marriage counseling. Meanwhile, he started a YouTube channel and blew up fairly big. After staying and attempting to fix the situation for 5 years, my mom finally decided to divorce him. She attempted to end things amicably, but after he lied and misfiled the divorce paperwork, he then took all the money from their bank account, leaving her to rely on family members for financial assistance. He wanted her to be a stay-at-home mom and not work, so she did for 30 years. Now he is attempting to make her look bad through his YouTube channel to all of his followers and blame her for their marriage failing so that no one questions why someone who gives life and relationship advice can't keep his own marriage together. He is not the person he seems to all his followers. Behind the camera, he is a narcissist and a liar. But everyone who follows him thinks he is so amazing and wise, while the truth is that he was emotionally difficult and controlling with his children and his wife for over 30 years, employing manipulation, lies, and bullying to keep his family in line and silent. I can't stay silent and watch him continue to hurt my mom anymore, and I want to expose him to the world as the liar and cheat he is. I just don't know how. Should this child step forward and expose their toxic father's lies to his entire online audience, or is blowing the whistle going to make the messy divorce even worse? Let me know below. Next story. Living with a sibling who gets a free pass on everything because of their struggles can build massive resentment, especially when you're the one left dealing with the mess. Let's get right into this frustrating household dynamic from user Beans entitled, "I strongly dislike my brother. I feel like such a horrible person every time I think of him the way I do. I'm 19 and am the youngest of 3 siblings. He's the eldest. He has autism and depression, which he has been struggling with for as long as I can remember. He's been in the hospital when he was a teenager. As a kid, I really looked up to him and wanted to be close with him, but he was always pretty mean, probably due to the things he was going through at the time, and was always angry at my parents, running away, doing drugs. So as I grew older, I gave up trying to get close with him. He also sleeps the entire day and quit school when he was 14. He doesn't have a job and my mom treats him like a saint. I know why he is. The way he is, and I understand why my mom is so protective and overly worried about him. He's older now and still at home, no job or degree. When I'm alone, I feel so bad for him. I can't imagine how boring his life is. But when I'm near him or talk about him, I just feel so angry, and I can't help but always complain about everything he does. He doesn't do the dishes, he makes a mess everywhere he goes and refuses to clean it up. As a neat freak, these things get on my nerves, but my parents always get mad at me when I want to say something about it. Our house is in a permanent state of messy, and it kills me. To me, the only solution is to move out. But I'm still in university, and I don't make enough money at my job to pay for an apartment, groceries, and university. So I need to wait until I graduate and have a stable job. That's it. Is it wrong to resent a sibling who is struggling? Or are the parents the real problem for enabling him? Let me know below. Next story. Going to the emergency room because you literally cannot breathe is terrifying enough, but having a nurse completely strip away your dignity and leave you exposed to a room full of strangers is a whole new level of trauma. Let's get right into this heartbreaking vent from user_adhesiveness368 titled, "I left the ER in tears because I felt so humiliated. Last night was one of the worst nights of my life. I woke up around 4 a.m. gasping for air. My throat felt like it was closing every time I coughed. I couldn't catch my breath. I had a horrible headache and I was so nauseous I was trying to throw up. I have lupus, asthma, and severe sleep apnea, so when I get sick, it usually hits me much harder than most people. My dad rushed me to the ER because I genuinely couldn't breathe. The first triage nurse was so kind. Then I got to the second nurse. I stayed calm and polite while explaining what happened, but I felt like she didn't believe me. She looked at my oxygen level and basically brushed it off, saying it was probably just sleep apnea anxiety, even though I kept explaining that I'd been getting sicker for days and have been hospitalized before because of how lupus affects me. She brought me to a bed right behind triage to do an ECG. She gave me a mask even though I was struggling to breathe, then told me to lift my shirt. I pulled it up enough to keep myself covered because I wasn't wearing a bra. She pulled my shirt completely above my chest without saying anything and left me exposed while putting on the ECG stickers. What completely broke me was realizing the curtain behind me was open the entire time. People walking into the emergency department could see me. I made eye contact with multiple strangers while I was exposed. I wanted to disappear. I finally pulled my shirt down a little to cover myself because I couldn't take it anymore. After the ECG, she told me to go back to the waiting room. I walked past the same people who had just seen me exposed. The second I sat beside my dad, I completely broke down crying. I was so embarrassed that I could barely tell him what had happened. I ended up leaving the hospital without treatment because I couldn't stand the thought of seeing that nurse again. I've been to the hospital so many times over the last few years and I've never experienced anything like that. Every other nurse has always done their best to protect my privacy. I've barely slept because I'm terrified of waking up unable to breathe again, but I'm also terrified of going back to that hospital. I honestly don't know if I'm overreacting or not. I just know I've never felt so humiliated in my life and I can't stop replaying it in my head. Is she completely justified in feeling utterly violated and disgusted by that nurse's negligence, or should she file a formal complaint despite her fear of returning? Let me know below.